application. Enhanced security in Vista. I know since I've been working with computers, every time a new version of Windows comes out, Microsoft, the first thing it says, it's much more secure, we've improved stability, we've improved reliability, and we've improved performance. And for the most part, they're right. There's a lot of security enhancements in Vista. With the Windows firewall, they've made it a lot more intelligent as far as being able to work with programs um, that it needs to, rather than just shutting the firewall off. It's pretty bad practice when a tech guy has to just turn the firewall off to make something work. That's not the way to do it. And Microsoft Vista makes it a lot easier to manage, so that's a lot less likely to happen. There's something called DEP, and it stands for Data Execution Protection. And this was something that came into XP in a later service pack, but it just works better in Vista. And what this is Intel and the other hardware folks, we're kind of looking at all these viruses and spyware in a little different light, of saying that they usually act in a certain way, and we wonder if our processors can actually detect these things to help Microsoft out. So Microsoft built in this thing called DEP, and the processor guys did too. So if you have DEP turned on, Windows will actually try to let the processor help finding out what's virus and what's spyware and what's malware. The DEP is improved in Vista where it doesn't conflict with as many software programs as it used to. It used to be quite problematic, but it is a lot better in Vista now. Now UAC, this is kind of one of the early bad publicized things about Vista. I know everybody probably saw the Mac commercial saying, do you wish to allow? Yes. Do you wish to do this? Yes. And that's what the user access control is. It's that pop-up in Vista that asks you if you want to do everything. The good thing about that is no core system changes or setting changes can be made without administrative permissions. Now, unfortunately with Vista, there's only an on and an off and a maybe mode. There's not a lot of stuff in between. The maybe mode, just kind of how I term it, it makes it so administrators can do things but users can't. So know that that was built in as a security measure just to stop a lot of these viruses and things for doing things in the background. Actually, in Windows 7, it's greatly improved too and a lot more flexible. User mode versus kernel mode. We talked about how that makes the hardware compatibility an issue, but it enhances security because now with everything running in user mode, programs that go crazy, like viruses or spyware, are a lot less likely to crash the whole system. Usually they'll make it act kind of weird and you can close them, but it's not going to affect the system as generalized as XP would. And then Internet Explorer has something called protected mode. What that is when you have the UAC thing enabled, or the user access control enabled, it's going to run in a mode that does the same type of thing. It won't allow anything to run on your computer without your permission. Now there is a new Internet Explorer with Vista. A lot of people are running IE7 with XP, but that was released with Windows Vista. I talked about the protected mode already. Great security feature. Pop-up blocker was in XP. It's just a lot more effective now. Something called a phishing filter. And what the phishing filter is just like for spam mail, you might get the thing from Citibank saying, we've got some security changes, please click here and then give us all your personal information to verify. That's phishing, kind of throwing out the bait to hook people and lure them in. Well, there are a lot of websites that do that, and Internet Explorer is smart enough to look at the website you're going to and compare it to its database of known fake sites. So even if one of those Citibank emails does happen to get through your spam filter, and it gets into your Outlook, and you manage to click on it and it takes you to some website, chances are Internet Explorer 7, if you have this phishing filter turned on, is going to say, whoa, wait a minute, this really isn't Citibank, even though it looks a hell of a lot like it. And this ActiveX opt-in and disables. This is the really big, fancy, techie term for that little pop-up bar that you see across the screen under the address bar whenever you go to a website. If you're going to a carrier site and they give you a pop-up that says, this ActiveX control wants to run, do you want to allow it? That's what this ActiveX opt-in disables thing is. Is before anything runs with the right security settings, it'll warn you that things want to happen. Just a security measure, again, to help users not fall into those traps. So the rule of thumb with these is if you're on a website that you know you should be at and you're doing something that you know you need to be doing, then it's probably okay to allow that control to run. But if you're on a website and one of the, just by a search or even one that you accidentally go to that you clicked on the wrong thing and you have this opt-in pop-up, you're going to want to tell it not to run. It's a security feature built into IE7 that came with Vista, now is available with different OSs too. Tuning Vista for performance. Vista is admittedly a little bit slower than Windows XP. A lot of that is because there's a lot more to it now. You've got the instant search thing running in the background. You can have the arrow with the fancy graphics and 3D effects. There are a lot more options for power savings that are doing different kind of things to your computer. And there are a lot more services in the background that can be tweaked now that you may or may not need. You've also got the tool called msconfig, which has been in different versions of Microsoft Windows, which is a neat little tool that'll help you clean things up that are running in the background that you might not know of. So I'm going to jump in and do a demo on these, give everybody some ideas of the kind of things you can take out of msconfig, the kind of things that you can stop service-wise in certain situations. And this is going to help you unleash a lot more power of Vista, especially if you have a computer that is a little bit lacking. So to run msconfig, you simply go to your Start or your Search menu and you type in msconfig. Now I could hit msconfig and hit enter real quick because again you'll see Vista was smart enough to know that msconfig was the first thing that matches. So I'm going to hit enter here. And msconfig program is going to open up for me. Now there are several tabs here, and the tab we're really going to focus on is the Startup tab. The Startup tab shows all these little programs that run in the background after I log onto my computer. Usually everything up here in the system tray, down here for most people, those are things that are running from the system startup that you can control with msconfig. So say for example I install an HP printer on my computer. HP is kind enough to install software for a great printer, and it usually installs some updating software that's going to bug you every week for checking for updates. It's going to install some scheduling software to remind you to register your printer. It's going to install some software to monitor for the ink levels and monitor for the paper levels. And before you know it, you install a printer and a scanner and a camera, and you've got 14 things up here in your taskbar. You can't keep track of them, and your computer's running slow. Well, that's what msconfig is for. It's for helping you see what all those things are in the background, figure out what's really necessary, and wipe out the things you don't need to squeak that little bit of extra performance out of your computer. So if I look in the Startup tab of msconfig, it's going to try to name the startup item, and for the most part it usually names them pretty good. So I've got Windows Defender. I know I want to leave that running. That's my anti-spyware built into Vista. PDF Factory, sure, everybody uses PDF Factory or some kind of PDF program, so I need that. I've got my Groove, which I know I'm running Groove right now because that's where I store my presentations. Great little tool to work with lots of different people who are in lots of different locations. My quick launch buttons, sure, I've got a tablet, so I need my little extra buttons. But if I scroll down a little bit, you'll start seeing that there's a lot of things that are unchecked here. And all the things that are unchecked are things on my computer that I want there, but I don't necessarily need running on startup every time I boot my computer, because that means they're also running all the time, taking up memory and processing power. So sure, I run Adobe Acrobat, but if I expand this program a little bit, or this command, you'll see it says Adobe Acrobat reader_SL. Well, that's this thing called the speed launch. Now, I don't use PDF files often enough to justify Adobe always being open in the background to help speed up opening those files. I open 5 a day or so, and it takes me 3 seconds, and that'll change it to make 2. But all the while taking up more memory in my computer. Now, I've got some extra graphics things that I mentioned here that I really don't need running all the time. I've got the Real Player installed on my computer for some seminars and webinars that we've done and for streaming things, but I don't need it running all the time.